Hi, I'm Bart Hanson. I'm the owner and lead instructor for CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record every Mondays at 4:45 p.m. Pacific Time. If you enjoy the channel, please hit that like button and also subscribe to the channel. Turn notifications on and you will get an email link with this full episode. And if you want to submit to this show, take a look at the information in the description.
Yep, this comes from Parks Casino.
Okay.
2,500 cap.
Parks 2-5, 1,000 cap. Do they still do that, like, have like a crazy Tuesday there or whatever, where they play the 10-10 and all those different mixed games and stuff?
Yep.
Yep.
It's unbelievable. I go up there many times during the week, and that's when I play, and so Tuesdays is usually packed.
So Tuesdays is their day. Quite interesting. Okay, so 2-5, 1,000 cap.
Yep. So folds to MP1, who is I describe as a tight reg, doesn't get terribly out of line, but basically thinking player raises to 25 over one limp. I'm sorry. So there was a limp, and he raises to 25.
All right. So MP1 raises to 25 over one limp. Okay.
And folds to hero in the cutoff, and I make it 100 with 8 of clubs, 7 of clubs. So decided to, as you've talked about, promoting position and playing pots heads up, take this into a 3-bet.
Now, when you emailed me this hand, just one quick little thing, didn't you say that the guy was a tight opener from MP1? He raised over a limp, but he was pretty tight?
Yep.
So, I mean, you're in the cutoff, so you're in position. You can kind of go either way. I mean, I don't generally do a whole lot of sort of light 3-betting against people that I would tag to be tight because they have a stronger range, as opposed to somebody who's obviously opening like a lot wider, and you're going to get a lot of immediate folds. I understand that there's a limper in there, so getting it heads up is obviously can be helpful. You're not on the button, so you're going to drive out the button and the blinds, but I just wouldn't take it too far if the guy is actually really, really tight. But okay, you 3-bet to 100. I'm assuming that the limper folds.
Limper folds, we go heads up. So
Okay.
just one question on the, kind of varying between 3-betting and just calling. But you're okay, and then you call and the button calls, and then typically in the 2-5 games, once one person calls, it's going to be a chain reaction. So, but you're okay with 8-7 of clubs to call there too?
Well, I mean, the closer you are to the button, the more flatting that you can do. You wouldn't. I mean, it kind of just gets worse and worse, right? Like you wouldn't want to necessarily like call a UTG raise with UTG from UTG1 with 7-8 of clubs with a field behind you. But I mean, just because you call in the cutoff doesn't mean the button's going to call, right? I mean, it's just like the further you are, the closest to your button, the more that the more flatting that you can do. Like I said, there is a limper in there too, so you might be incentivized to obviously to drive him out. So I mean, I don't hate it. Like I said, I wouldn't take it too far. So 3-bet to 100 and MP1 calls, right?
Yep. So about 200 in the pot.
Okay.
Flop is 9 of hearts, 5 of diamonds, 4 of clubs.
Flop is 9 of hearts, 5 of diamonds, 4 of clubs. So you flop like a gut shot here and a backdoor flush draw, right? 9-5-4 rainbow.
Yes.
Okay.
And MP1 checks to me.
Okay.
So I bet 85.
Okay.
So first question I have is, as you've been playing this 5-5 challenge, and I think you reference it a good bit sometimes on the podcast, the spaz factor. So just any thoughts on sizing of something less than half pot versus traditionally value-oriented games? You're going to bet, 2/3 to 3/4 pot, but this is 3-bet. So what are your thoughts on sizing here?
Well, how deep are you guys? Number one, I know you said it's 1,000 cap. You're 1,000 effective.
Yeah, we're 1,000 effective. Yep.
I mean, $85 into a pot of like 205 to 210 is probably like 40% of the pot. I mean, yeah, I can definitely get on board with it. I don't think that there's really any reason to just blast away here for like 130 or 140. There's going to be a lot of interesting things I'm going to talk about in Jacksonville because they seem like they're like 5-10 years behind. So, it's one of these things where you can make a bet probably with your entire 3-bet range here for 30% of the pot. Is that the most efficient way to play your range in live poker? Maybe not necessarily. I mean, I tend to go for 40 to 50% like in spots like this at this stack depth. I don't have a problem with it. So you bet 85.
He calls.
Okay.
Pot's 370.
Pot is 370. Okay.
Turn is a 7 of hearts.
Seven
We
of
go back
hearts.
to a heart draw.
So the board is 9 of hearts, 5 of diamonds, 4 of clubs, and now the turn is the 7 of hearts. So now you turn a pair with your basically gut shot to a 6, right? Well, gut shot
Yep.
to gut shot to a 6. Yep.
And Villain leads for 150.
Oh, this is interesting. So he's leading for 150 into 370. I mean, right off the bat here, this kind of smells like a hand like tens or jacks that is playing like a little bit of a stop and go. You know what I mean? Like the 7 really doesn't. Especially if you're saying the MP1 guy is tight, you're not going to really see like a 6-8 suited here, right? Which is the nuts, right? Some crazy thing like that. I guess it's possible that he could have 7s, so I think it's unlikely to play this way. Same thing with like 9s as like a check call lead. I just think it's way more likely that he's got specifically 10s through maybe even queens here, right? So, when he's betting 150, pot's going to be 520, right? Pot's already 370, so the pot's going to be 520, 150 for you to call. You're getting like 3.5 to 1 here. Now, you could have, if he does have a single paired hand, you've got a gut shot to a 4, gut shot to a 6, and then you've got a 5 out draw with your 7-8. So it's like, you've got 9 outs. You probably have like 1 chance in 5 of hitting or 4 to 1. And like I said, I'm doing this dirty like with 45 unseen cards. And the reason why I'm saying 45 unseen cards is because I'm assuming he's got 10s, jacks, or queens. So you have 2 cards, he has 2 cards, there's already 4 out there. It's actually 44, but it's a lot easier. 9 into 45 is 1 out of 5. You would need 4 to 1. Here you're getting 3.5 to 1 in immediate odds. So obviously there's some implied odds, for you to make this call. So I just think that you're behind. I mean, the other thing to be said is that if a 6 comes in, which gives you your straight, it puts a 1-liner out there, obviously. And on the surface, it might look like, oh, you're not going to get paid off, but it is a 3-bet pot, and you might even get more likely to get paid off if a 6 comes and the guy checks and you bet, and he's sitting there with like jacks or queens, as opposed to you call this turn, the river's a deuce, he checks, and you blast, because people just think that you're inherently polarized, in a spot like that. So, I mean, I definitely would make this call here, just in the fact that you've got almost a direct price here, putting him on a specific range.
Okay, so at least we're. I guess one thing I did, of course, think about was the fact that the hearts came to put a backdoor heart. So I started putting in a few combos of some type of, we have suited Broadway Jack 10's a gut shot with hearts, and then maybe just 1 or 2 combos potentially bleeding hearts.
I don't think he's going to have Jack. If he's tight and it's 2-5 and you're betting 85 on this flop, is he calling with Jack 10 of hearts on a 9 of hearts, 5 of diamonds, 4 of clubs board? You're sort of betting like 40%. That's the whole thing with why it's kind of like a little cat and mouse when you bet tiny, because and you didn't bet tiny, but I'm saying like the 20, 25% sort of bet that a lot of solvers will say. And it's because people are supposedly aren't defending with the types of hands that they're supposed to. Like they would just fold out Queen Jack of Hearts. That's never going to happen in live poker. That's why I actually think that betting larger is a little bit better. The small bets are because it's trying to exploit people under defending, and I just don't buy it. If you were thinking about hearts here, it would probably have to be more likely like the nut flush drawn 2 overcards that just suddenly bets, like an ace queen of hearts, ace king of hearts, or something like that. I really think this screams like 10s through queens. But so you call?
Yep, I call. So we're at about 670, I believe.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
River 5 of clubs. Here's the board.
River is the 5 of clubs. Okay, so 9 of hearts, 5 of diamonds, 4 of clubs, 7 of hearts, and now the river is the 5 of clubs. Okay.
Dylan checks to us.
All right. So V1 checks. Okay. And now
And
the
here's
question.
why I don't. Yeah, what do I do? Do I have to turn into a bluff?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, we had a call like this at 1-2, I think that was put up last week, where a guy, obviously 2-5 is different from 1-2, but if you go back, this is probably in the first week of October, is this video that got posted up on YouTube, and I think it's like, should you bluff at 1-2? And this guy had 3-bet, I think it was ace king of spades, and he bet like a backdoor flop like you did here. And then he turned a flush draw. He turned the nut flush draw, and a guy donk led into him, and he just shoved, but he didn't quite realize the pot odds that the guy was getting here. In that spot, the guy would have been getting like 4 or 5 to 1, and I was just like, I would just call and take my equity. Here, the pot's 670. This guy's put in, I mean, he's got maybe like, what, 750 or so. Actually, less than that. He's got maybe 700. Less than 700. He's got about a pot-sized bet left, right? 100 pre-flop, 150 on the turn, and 85. So, if you were to move all in here, this is like, you look at this and you're like, okay, is it profitable here to try to move somebody off of like tens, jacks, queens at this level, or do you pick up your extra EV in other ways at this level, like sort of value betting people to death? In general, I don't like to move people off of hands. Also, too, I think that you do have a sliver of fold equity. That's where I think that this is definitely a check back, because you have some showdown value where if that guy was pulling some shit with like nut hearts, you beat him, right? It's not like you have a hand, I'm trying to think of a hand here where you just missed. Like if you have like Jack 10 of hearts, where you just can't win, right? If you have Jack 10 of hearts, it's interesting because you're just basically giving up. And then, well, of course, you would block him having what I think sort of are his primary hands that he would play like this. Here, you don't block those hands. He can have tens through queens, and I think you have a sliver of showdown value. So I don't think that I would bluff here.
Okay, that helps because if I was when I was thinking through it in game, I put myself in his shoes. I wouldn't fold queens or jacks, maybe tens, but so I didn't think there was a ton of fold equity with those hands if they were over pairs. And like you said, I feel like I beat those couple hands that could be draws. So I check back, and he says what you said, ace king of hearts, and we scoop.
So V1 has ace of hearts, king of hearts, which is kind of bizarre when you think about it, because it's really bizarrely played, right? So you win, right, with a pair of sevens, but you see this sometimes where, like, what is the reason for him to lead out with ace king of hearts? There really is no way he can ever get called by worse. And he's really not folding out anything that's better than his hand. Like if he wanted to make a semi-bluff here and try to like fold out jacks, try to fold out tens, or if you had made some sort of light 3-bet with ace 5 or ace 9, why not go for a check raise on the turn? Normally, specifically ace king of hearts, which is like the nut no pair, in this particular configuration as a 3-bet, where you're going to be somewhat sort of polar, where you're going to have like a top range hand or you've sort of missed. Normally that hand doesn't have to be played strongly, right? Because he's either winning or he's not winning. He doesn't necessarily have to try to make a play to move you off of something that's better. A lot of times, sometimes he has the best hand. But the sheer fact that he just leads turn, like what is leading the turn here? What does that do with his specific hand? I mean, it's almost better, like there's a difference if he had like ace deuce of hearts, right? Where he wants some of the ace highs to fold, like ace queen and ace king, if he played like a check call lead. But he has ace king, right? So why come out and bet on the turn? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's kind of the point of the call because it confused me. So I did do kind of quick math of the odds on the turn. I thought I did have the direct odds should I hit, but yeah, I was confused. That's why I want to see what you would think with his hand.
Now, somebody in the live chat says that he's price setting the turn. I mean, Is that so I guess he's blocking the turn here. I mean, I don't know if that's a thing or not, but 150 and he's betting like half the size of like 40% of the size of the pot. I mean, if he wanted to block the turn, I would think it would be like less than like $90 here, or something like that. But I don't know. I thought that was a pretty cool call. Thank you very much for the call. Hey guys, if you like what you've seen here, please click on the subscribe button and you'll get notified every time we put up a new video. And if you want to check out crushlivepoker.com for the first month free, use the code YTA200. Click on the link right there.